I believe that, a lot of people would wait to see the effect of the health bill on whether or not there will be more strike actions by either doctors or is it the Joint Health Workers Union. But moving on to another issue now, which is the thinking of labor in terms of what's been happening in the economy. We've been seeing what is happening with the price of oil falling. We've adjusted our benchmark price twice now. Last week it was adjusted to $65 per barrel for the 2015 budget, and even then it was saying that the prices of oil they dipped slightly below that level. I think they are hovering around that level that we've pegged our oil price at. We've seen the effect. Even before now, we are seeing some complaints or hearing complaints here and there about what is happening in some states. Some states are unable to pay their labor force. I'm just wondering, has labor sat down to look at what the implications of this could be for labor leaders or for labor unions or for even the labor force across the country?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to sit down to look because it's not an academic issue, it's a practical issue of survival. And if you have been following the commentaries, Labour had definitely responded to this because but Labour's view is not different from Nigerians' views, that it's quite a sad commentary, that in 2014, we're still running a mono product economy, highly dependent on oil, such that a singular shock in the price of petroleum product makes all of us to return back to frenzy and panicky measures. And we thought that after almost about 30 years we've done away with austerity measures. We're back to it, and I think this confirms all the points that Labour has been raising, that it's time for us to diversify our economy, and that we should walk our talk. This government has launched a very good document known as Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan. The whole idea now is that we must revive the real sector of the economy, and make sure that, we don't go through these cycles. Even some oil producing countries, Saudi Arabia, a good number of countries like Indonesia who also produce petroleum products, they don't have this kind of shock because they've diversified. They've moved into industry, adding value to their raw materials. And I thought the best approach of the government largely would be to roll out in an urgent manner all those measures that will make us to refine petroleum products instead of importing. Because that's also what put pressure on our foreign exchange. That was
part of the conversation in 2012.
So now,
when there was that massive strike.
About the direct impact, that's how I told you, it's not academic. The last time we signed minimum wage, 2010, of 18,000 naira, the exchange rate was 150 US dollars. Now with the official devaluation by CBN by 8%, I don't know what the number all about now, 168, officially, but the real value is more than that, to $1. Now minimum wage just disaggregated from about $65 to $7. It has dropped to about $50. So we're worse off. The real value of the existing minimum wage is far, far lower than what it used to be. So which means we now have lower income, to survive on. And I've said to what I decided before, that the existing minimum wage is due for review, because when we signed the agreement, it was supposed to be for 5 years, supposed to be reviewed next year. So I'm saying in terms of purchasing power, we're extremely worse off. And the numbers to interest rate, has also been hiked up. That also have implication for cost of production. Basic goods that were produced at home prices have gone up. Inflation have also gone up. So I think we are the one bearing the brunt of these new austerity measures. You talk about the state government, and I'm happy you single out that of Benue. It hasn't paid salary for almost about 3-4 months now. For me, it's completely unacceptable. And what you have not told us is that the governor is still business as usual in that place. They've not reduced the convoys. They take them up and down. So good number of them still travel with private jets. So even the austerity measure we talk of is slightly top down. You know, it hasn't started from the leadership to see that the excess of what do you call it, economic meltdown as we are facing it, as the case may be. And let me tell you, no matter the reversal or adjustment of the benchmark of petroleum product, even if of crude oil in terms of our budgeting, even if it is $50, $10, Nigeria is still a rich country. There are countries that don't they don't even have petroleum product, on top of the prices coming down. So what I'm trying to say here is that what matters is the pattern of public expenditure. And I thought this is the time for us to look at the cost of governance. You know, nobody has rolled out the need to reduce this huge monument bills for, you know, them legislators, you know, for executive arms of government. Ministers are still traveling as usual. I mean, I travel a lot, you know, by road and in the air. I've never seen a good number of them even in commercial flights. You know, and I land abroad, they still go with business first class. So we haven't seen that, you know. I think this crisis cannot be a substitute for covering up bad governance at the level of some states. I know some states where they have put their house in order, they are meeting their financial obligations to their workers. You know, but above all, our take with this crisis is that this should be a rude awakening for urgent revival of the real sector of the economy. You know, if you look at, China, for instance, India, these are countries that we want to compete with. I don't think they care about what the international price of any product, when we talk of crude, you know, because they've added value to those products. You know, the kind of revenue government gets from company taxes, from personal taxes of the workers who are employed, they go far a long way. So for me, what Nigeria really needs, and I think President Goodluck Jonathan promised transformation agenda, not austerity. I think the transformation must be to grow the real sector of the economy.
One would think that these are the issues that should force labor to strike actions. I agree with the sacking of a colleague.
No, but they are part of it.
You say you've been discussing this with government about diversifying the economy, about cutting down the cost of governance and all of that. One would think that these are some of the issues you should put on the table as warnings to government that if you do not do this, we would go on strike.
No, I absolutely agree with you, but they are not mutually exclusive. Even the PIB I talk about that, the petroleum sector, what do you call it, the sector workers, NUPENG who are demanding for, it's about growing the real sector of the economy. Go and read that bill. It says we have to move from this, you know, crude exploitation of crude product to refinery, to petrochemicals, you know, to mass employment of our members. For me, nothing could be far more significant than that. So, but but I absolutely agree with you that it's time for us, not just labor, you know, because yes, there are direct labor issues, but there are also larger issues of the economy and development of our country. All stakeholders of Nigeria must say it's time for us to have appropriate microeconomic policies that will be able to grow the real sector of the economy. And when the new CBN governor came in, we were all excited with his commitment to development financing. He promised to reduce the interest rate, you know, so that manufacturers will have more access to credit at cheaper fund. He promised to expand the scope of direct intervention. You know, CBN had this window of development financing through which they have been helping automobile, textile, aviation. You know, at the attraction of that fund is that a single digit, including SMEs. They can borrow at 7%, 8%, so we're excited. But all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, the same CBN is hiking interest rates, devaluing the currency. This complete reverse gear, you know, of policy. You know, what does devaluation cost? I've told you first, it erodes the income, purchasing power is low, which means those people that will buy goods and services are valuable, the effective demand is going to be low. So secondly, we're highly import dependent. Even few industries that are working, they import raw material, I mean, what do you call it, machinery. They have to pay more now.
The parts I'm really interested in.
For them too, so nobody benefit from the policy.
The parts I'm really interested in, I mean, a lot of people will say that CBN has done what it needs to do. It's managing the economy as well, you know. And looking at what was happening, because whether or not we like it, it's not going to change overnight that we're an import-dependent economy. And it wasn't changing overnight that they were spending so much from the foreign reserves to support the naira, the window between what was obtainable officially and what the markets were saying. Now look at some of the threats that have come up as a result of some of the measures that have been taken, or the fates that we're currently facing or battling, which is Labour is saying that we will resist any attempt to affect the labor force. Even in Benue, it was seen that the governor looked like it's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. He says that the problem they had in that state started when the minimum wage was enacted, that what they saw was a bloating, as it were, of the wage bill. They didn't quite understand how it even came about, but what they noticed was that they couldn't pay teachers, so they asked civil servants to give up something so that they could pay teachers. Have you bothered, or has Labour bothered, to just take a look at what is happening in some of these states with a view to coming up with a more pragmatic solution? Because sometimes it would seem that government is scared of Labour and does these things to constantly please Labour and ensure that, you know, we don't get into trouble, as it were.
Wait, where is, I mean, even from your narrative, where are we being pleased? Where are we being privileged? A sitting governor has not paid salaries, you know, for 3 months. Where is the privilege for Labour there? It's completely irresponsible in terms of governance. If you have to mind my word. I mean, wage delay, delayed payment of wages is actually wage theft from our labour law. Thou shalt not delay the pay of any working man or working woman a day longer than the payday. And it's actually an impeachable offence. It's also a criminal offence. I mean, how are we being privileged? Meanwhile, this is a governor who shuttles, he's been devoting all his energy. He was one time, what do you call it, a representative to the National Assembly, 2-time governor. He's busy scuttling to get a Senate seat. And who pays for all those indulgences? That's why I think that increase the cost of governance. You know, you talk of bloated so-called ghost workers. Who are it takes a ghost governor to preside over ghost workers. You know, because these are all the things they also use to inflate the bill, which top government officials use to take money out of the system. So, but I think the bottom line is that at this hour, and I think it will be a complete reversal of all the claims of President Goodluck Jonathan in terms of job creations, in terms of spreading the fraud, because the level of unemployment is so high. Bureau of Statistics open the figure about unemployment is about 25 to 28%. Open unemployment is about 50%. So nobody dares under this condition already aim to talk of downsizing the workforce for whatever reason. And what are the wages we talk about? I've given you the analysis. Go and calculate it. The minimum wage we signed, what were the parameters? What we signed in 2010. Due to unstable macroeconomic policy, that in real terms, that wages have been thoroughly eroded. You cannot take the workers, yet you couldn't pay. It's fairly unacceptable. Benin is not an exception. The other state government are paying. Because I think it's a priority about development and blocking all the leakages.